PAs that are dropping below 7%. Again, each school has its way of doing things, but it's about identifying when is it best for you to start looking at that. So you'll have unpicked, check what's the reason for secondary schools. Reasons vary. For primary schools, the reasons vary. It's looking at what is really going on or what can be done. Completing home safeguarding visits. I know that there has been a lot of talk around that coming from schools, because schools have actually asked us, where does it state that 3 days that you have to do a completed donor? For secondary schools, if some schools were to do that, they would be having someone out all day, every day. So again, it's what's your safeguarding process? And normally, I normally say to schools, follow your safeguarding process. If a child has not been in school the whole of, since we started the new in January, there should have been someone checking on or a monthly, but also your safeguarding process. Calling parents is good, but citing a child, they're of course those ones that you're really worried about. So it's about also following your safeguarding process. Until you have a duty of care, that 3 day may not work. It's not stated. I'm actually looking for where it's stated. But again, just making sure that you're following your process when a child is not in. Yeah. Then we do suggest that you offer strength and needs, especially if you're welcoming those parents for a parent contract meeting. I would rather you offer it and state if they decline, because most will not accept it. Have it on the parent contract that you've offered it and the parent has declined, because then we know. It could be that the parent may decide, okay, can I decide later? But put it on the parent contract that has been offered. The parent will consider it to go back on this day. If the parent agrees to have it, give it a time scale, because sometimes it's not possible to complete it within the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And so that in case the attendance does not improve, when you're referring to us, we know that's been offered and that's been explored. Yeah? And again, it's about supporting the parent. The parents, as you go along, you know, okay, this one will do with our support. The family homeschooling worker will be enough. But there's some actually you need outside professionals. So it's a case of you know the population better than us. Any question? I think this one is a struggle currently. We have parents actually who are calling us because of that. How many of you have come across Section 19? The current year fee, big Section 19. So we've got a couple of parents who are saying that because their children have been unwell for more than 15 days and they've not been in school, they are entitled to alternative provisions. And actually, the fee does state that it would be the local authority providing those provisions, whereas it's not possible. So normally the expectation is, okay, the child has not been in school for over 15 days. Is it illness? If it's illness, what's really going on? Checking what's really going on. Can you make reasonable adjustments? What needs to be done? Are you able to afford alternative provisions? Is that what that child needs, or do you need to encourage that parent to bring that child into school? Section 19 only comes in if you've explored all avenues as schools, and then you let us know. But we don't have a pot where we're just releasing money and giving to parents. So it's a talk. We're getting so many emails recently from parents, not guided, but not led by school, but parents themselves deciding I need my child educated by the local authority because school is not providing education. But when we look at it, actually school has offered, it's parent refusing to engage.
Well, we don't have money. We don't have money to provide alternative provision for children whose parents write in, for 15, 20 days saying they've got a headache.
And again, each child is different, is it? Because we have hospital school if a child is signed off at consultancy level, because they are also very strict with what their threshold is quite tight. Mm-hmm. So they will only take referral if it's consultancy level. If again there are children who are open to CAMS or they are on the neurodiverse NDC pathway for long. So it's establishing what support is in that. And actually yesterday I was sat in the mental health for young people mental health board, and we are talking about all these services that are available for children who are waiting who are on the NDC pathway. I was really amazed. There's quite a lot of support. It's gone. There's quite a lot of support on it, which was really interesting. I'll be sending some, I'll circulate some leaflets. I collected loads and I did ask, and I'm hoping that the next time we have like a bigger attendance, a district attendance meeting, we'll have someone from their team, because I was really amazed by the support that is out there for parents, but they actually say parents are not accessing it. Most parents that have been referred to the NDC pathway have already been given those leaflets and they've been advised, can you access this on the interim? But not most of them are signing into it, which is very interesting. So what I did request is when I can circulate the leaflets to schools, so that when parents are saying you're on this pathway, you're able to make that referral. So I mean, they can self-refer, they can contact them, and I think they have meetings monthly and they can contact them. So I thought that was really good. Right, going back to my technical bits. Any questions on that?
I just linked to what you just said. Was that the LCSS put on a meeting, a sort of networking thing recently that I didn't manage to get to, but that had all of the services from around Oxford that attended?
It's really good.
It looked amazing. It had some CAMS and the mental health support teams and so many different things that if you're not on the sort of mailing list, it's worth contacting your link worker to get on it, because I didn't go, but it sounded
It is. Has anyone attended?
Was it
It's really good.
It's really good.
There's quite a lot of information sent through now, because they just took my email and just sent lots of stuff.
I think that's
useful for us.
I can circulate it because I get it monthly. I can circulate it to schools. I'll let actually my link to know that schools are really keen, because they have I was actually surprised. I went for the reason when we had at
The Dragon School, was it?
Yeah.
Amazing. We have so much support. We had hospital, all these questions you want to ask about, especially around mental health. Youth support, young children support, family support. They were there. It was amazing. Just look out for it and make time to go for it, because you're able to get contacts. You're able to actually. One thing I say to them is the fact that you have actually services that you can call and ask for advice on the spot. That was really good for me. So that would be really handy. Just make time for them. I think the next one is I'll make a point of, I'll let them know that schools are really interested in possibly letting me, when they circulate it to me, I'll just make sure I'm sending it to all of you. The parent contract to be, normally when you complete the parent contract, we do get referrals from school, and we normally recommend for us to open a case. We want it to have been completed not later than 3 months prior to the referral. So for example, if you're sending a referral now, we would expect you completed it maybe, I'd say January or very end of the term in December. Why? Because things change. And I know for some schools you felt bad when you had to come back to you and say, actually this one, complete another one. But also we look at the circumstances, and if we feel actually let's just open this, because this child, if we give it another 10 days, it's going to go over. Or we can say to you, actually review that parent contract, come back to us after 10 days, because we could fast track it. But you'd have to come back to me directly. So for example, actually, even now, if you completed a parent contract with a parent who's got very, very low attendance, especially at this time, and you're saying 10 days in, it's not improved the attendance, it's not been effective in doing what you had, the targets that you'd set, shoot me an email or call the duty line, I'll give the number later, and just ask for advice, because it could be actually, we can fast track it. Because if a child, 10 days, the child has not been in, waiting for another 10 days, things will just continue getting worse. So we're better off them getting in early. But let us know, rather you contact the duty line and ask for that guidance, instead of completing the paperwork and then we send it back to you. And we're changing, I think we're changing, I'm hoping the DFE changes that, because the contract, I think for most schools, parents feel very intimidated by that contract phrase.
We had a message today.
They're changing it.
Attendance.
Attendance. I don't know whether it's any better, but I know most parents struggle with the contract. Some say I'm not going to sign it. there's all that. So we'll see whether that changes anything. But again, it's the only intervention that school, actually it's a school-owned tool. It's not a sanction, it's an intervention tool. So it's how it's sold to schools, because to parents, because if parents feel that it's a sanction, they'll fight it, yeah.
I was going to say, but sometimes parents need it because they become complicit and they're like, oh yeah, it's only a couple of days off school. But then if you're saying that it's a contract and it's sanctioned, they'll be more likely to say, oh, actually, I need to send my child in because I don't want to get into trouble and I don't want to have a problem. So sometimes you need that.
So it's how it, because at the end of the day, it's supposed to be very intervention based. The one thing you have to make them aware is, should that attendance not improve following the targets you've completed, if they're not achieved, you're going to refer to us. And then normally just telling them you refer to us. It's up to us to decide what we're going to do with it. But just making them aware that should it not improve, it's part of the process that you refer to us. So it's how you say it to them, because most parents will call us and say, oh, school is forcing me. No, it's a meeting. But again, if you invite a parent for a parent contract and they don't come in and they don't notify you, you can have a meeting, you can carry on with the meeting. Let them know when you're inviting them that should you not attend and not notify us, we will proceed with the meeting in your absence. We will set the targets and send a copy to you. If a parent keeps cancelling the meeting, because there are those who are very good with that, meeting one cancelled, meeting two cancelled, but let them know we'll carry on with the meeting if you don't come next time. We just want to make sure that you're giving them that benefit of doubt. If the attendance target is not met, like I've just said, then we encourage you to refer to us. We have two processes. So first thing we do when we receive the referral, we look at everything, all the documents and support that you've offered. The attendance when referring obviously would expect that for us to be involved, the absences there has to be at least 10% unauthorized absences. If it's I codes, it means that, or C codes, it means that you're in agreement with the results of that child being out of school. So our support is not needed because you're already in agreement with that, but we only take them if their absence is unauthorized. We like the voice of child. Most schools have their own voice of child tools. It helps a lot. Well, if there isn't, then just let us know you are unable to do that. For secondary schools, I know it's a struggle because the children sometimes are not even in, or they'll keep saying, I don't really care, or anything they want to say to you. It's always good to have it. Any question on that?
Can I just ask, so if you've done a parent contract and the target has been met, so it's improved over 20 days, and then it starts to slip, can we refer then, or do you have to put another parent contract
You've got
in
the
place?
3 months to review it, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, because some parents are very good with, 20 days, I know, 20 days, and they will improve. Then if attendees, they will try to.
So if it slips
That's
within
three
3 months,
months,
we can refer it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's within those 3 months, yeah.
What if you have, I'm thinking of one specific family who every year ends up having a specific amount of time off, and it's usually because someone in their family has passed away and they have to travel out to the UK. They hit 20 days off school, but it's consistent and it seems to be the same person that dies as well.
Do you issue penalty notice by
At the moment, no. So that was one of the questions I did want to ask today: is how can we get the training?
Oh,
Because
we
I
had one
looked
in
for
the
it.
morning. We had one in the morning today. Yeah, but we are. You've seen the DFE changes, so we are going to. I think this is the last. We may offer one before the end of summertime because we're waiting for DFE to come back to us with the proper details so that we can give the training, because we know about the changes of, before it was £60 for 6 sessions, it's 60, but it's changing to £80 for 10 sessions in 100 sessions. So because of those changes, I know we will change that. We will need to change how we train. But I think that would be a good one for issuing a fine, because the fine process is really good for holidays, unauthorized holidays, do you authorize? Have you said to them?
They're not authorised.
Yeah.
Obviously, it depends on the family. Like, there are genuine families
Yeah.
that do need to fly out because
Yeah.
there's been a genuine death, but most times it's unauthorised.
Yeah.
If it's like immediate family that's passed away, then it's authorised. Depending on how close they are with the person that's passed away, then it could be authorised. But then,
Yeah, because you're not presently using the penalty notice fine process, I would say have a meeting. After that, does the attendance improve though?
okay,
After they come back into school?
not massively. They do have persistent absenteeism quite a bit, so it's ad hoc
Yeah.
throughout the year anyway.
Have a meeting with them, parent contract for each child separately, set targets, that keeps you going for 20 days until you've done the training. We may do another training just to, the only thing is that it may not be different from what we are offering, because with the new changes we will train all schools, we're hoping to get a space where we can have as many people as possible. But if you want to start getting ready for that process, you can have the training so that you can have all the documents with you, in terms of having to update your website and your attendance policy. But that would be suitable for that family. Again, each parent is very different, so it's interrogating them at the same. I think the same person is dying several times, or letting us know if you want, it's let us know if you're struggling. Let's see what we can do.
Would you be
But
able to
again-
send a link out for the training?
Yeah, when it comes out, I'll circulate it, because we had one today in the morning. But again, you know your family as well, and normally with holidays, each family is very different. For example, and this is not, sorry, it's not a PM training. When you're authorizing the holiday, or you're not deciding not to, giving a parent 3 days and you know they're going to Australia, it won't work because it's 24 hours travel. So it's also being considerate and knowing when to, each case is different. That's why we encourage parents to ask for, to request for leave, and then having a meeting with you or the head teacher and deciding is it an exceptional circumstance. 21-year-old birthday is very different from a 100-year-old birthday. Goes back to your school values. I keep using that as the best example, because each school you've got your religious reasons. Ramadan, how many days do you give? Other festivals, we have so many. I'm looking for a link I used to have for religious holidays. We had one when I joined. It appears to have gone. I don't know whether that organization is there. And it was really good because you'd contact them and you tell them this parent has called and they've said this is the religion, it's Buddhism or whatever it is. Then you tell actually that festive is supposed to take this place on this day. 1 day is appropriate enough, or 2 days is appropriate enough, which was very helpful. I'm still looking for it. I'm still digging, So if it improves, and if it doesn't improve within those 20 days, or like I said, 10 days, let us know. But if it doesn't improve within those 20 days, just complete the paperwork. Let us get involved as soon as possible.
Okay. What's the voice of the child?
Voice of the child is where you capture the school, so it depends with the tool that you're using. So you're asking questions of what is going on, why that child is not going to school. So each school has different tools. LCSS do provide them. So it could be what's going on what's going on at home, and you do that before you send the referral. Or when
It's like a checking.
it's not a checking, because what you want to have an understanding of what that child is going through. What
I mean, like,
school.
We asked that we have a meeting with
Yeah,
the
you have a
child.
meeting with the child.
And
Yeah,
then
it
they-
could be you
Okay.
or the most
It's like a
appropriate
record
person.
of what they've said.
So
Yeah.
what we do is 3 islands, so we have 3 just blocks.
Houses.
We do 3 islands, so the first one is things that you like, that make you happy. So we start with school and then home, and then worries or things that make you sad depending on the age of the child. School and then home, and then on the bottom is wishes. And from the wishes, we get the wishes from the things that they're worried about. So what they think needs to change to make them better.
Right, thank you.
I can send a couple of them, but you've described it so well. I've not used them because we don't work directly with the children. I think you really do. Yeah. And I like it because sometimes actually with primary schools, what we see a lot is the child is saying, I want to come to school, but mom sleeps, or I want to be early, but my parents, Because children are very honest, Or we wanted to be in school, but we went away on holiday.
I've got one case, the dryer not working.
And we've had that.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's a very
Which is why they
interesting
went
one.
to school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry,
Or
sorry.
waiting for the dryer.
Yeah.
Washing,
Yeah, we get everything. And had an interesting one, is it? A parent to school because they'd washed, you know, the different washing all clothes and didn't have any clothes to take the child to school. So interesting because the child may say, but this is a child, it's very different because now the child is saying from their own experience. So some will say, I like coming to school, I don't like coming to school because of this and that, or I'm worried for mom. So they give a lot, yeah. And for you as a staff from the school, you know how to best support this child. So for the referrals, you will decide whether you want it to go for legal or casework. We're hoping to change that process, but we've not confirmed. So there are times when you refer to us, and we will check with you why you've referred for casework, because we do know sometimes the legal process can feel quite intimidated or too much for parents, because most professionals or most parents will think actually this is prosecution or fines, but actually the legal process has a lot, and I'll take you through it. We started getting the casework during COVID before we were just on the legal process. So everything we opened as cases was open for our on our legal platform. Casework came as a result of COVID because we had still families that were not engaging with education, especially the vulnerable families, and they needed additional support. And because we couldn't use the prosecution route, we decided to start taking caseworks. So it will be for those families that you feel that are quite vulnerable, parents are engaging, or they're not condoning the absence, there's a lot going on, and it needs more support. But again, normally the things to ask yourself is, if a child has got a TAF, a C, or a CB plan, would that be appropriate really? Because we'll be duplicating what that child plan is having, because we already got professionals involved with supporting attendance. So if they've got that, what's the point of duplicating that? So hence why we normally will come back and ask, why not escalate to legal, and checking with the professionals involved whether we should escalate it. So yeah, caseworks, it's good when there's no other service involved, but also can be used if you're thinking this family just needs maybe some backup from attendance team. Again, call us on duty line and ask which one is appropriate. There's always someone every school day on the line. So yeah, what's our responsibility post referral? So normally we'll have meetings. I think I've been to most of these schools. Once we receive the referral, we open for either casework or the legal process. If it's the legal process, we'll issue parents with a first warning letter. It has all the legal jargon. We'll tell them what we're likely to do. We'll expect that we are going to start working on improving that child's attendance. So once we issue that warning letter, we'll then later, after 5 or 10 days, invite them for our meetings, attendance panel meetings, which is very similar to the current contracts that you have, because we'll be looking at the 24-hour day, what it looks like, routines, what's going on at home. So it's very similar to our current contract. And then we will set targets. So once we've had the meetings and set the targets, we will review it after 20 days. Sometimes, if we feel that we need to review after 10 days, and the times I do that, I will ask school whether it's okay for us to review after 10 days and see how it's going. And if it's not going very well, then I can escalate it. So if the target is met, we will let the parents know, and you will let school know, and then we'll hold on. It depends with the CAT officer. Sometimes if we have many, like the way the currently have so many cases, so I'm closing them very quickly. But again, we keep contacting school just to check what's going on, whether there's been any change. Then we will close, but monitor. If the target is not met, then we will issue a final notice letter and that final note is what we're advising this parent is that we are considering now proceeding to court for prosecution, or we are exploring several routes of the legal process. So it could be we take the parent, I think I've got that in. So we're the ones at this time doing all this, but we'll obviously let the school know. I think I've done that. Well, I think we've discussed this, is it? I'll just skip that and I'll come back to that later. I've done something I shouldn't have done. So you're asking something?
Yes, what happens when, so if parents are taken to court and they're prosecuted and convicted, they have a criminal record, I mean, what does that actually mean for them? What are the ramifications of having that on their record?
Well, if they would have to declare that, and if you've been in any of my meetings, I do let parents know, and then that's why I like children have been there, especially the secondary school children.
But if they're convicted, what will it say?
It depends.
I've just never.
It depends, because the magistrates actually, they look at each child is very different. Yeah, so they will look at this. Obviously, the parent will also have an opportunity. Some will go with their legal advisors. They have an opportunity to express why they have not enabled their children to access education. Depending on what they say, they may be fined, or the magistrate will refer it back to the services. We rarely have that anyway, and say more support is needed and outline what is needed, and they'll give recommendations. Normally, once we get the outcome from court, we will inform school what the outcome was. So it could be sometimes a fine of £1,200 with maybe court fees or additional charges. So we will normally involve them. And then after that, we will leave it open. We will monitor it again. After court, we monitor it again after 6 weeks. So we'll normally let you know we're monitoring it, and then get back. We keep our system, we're able to check attendance. So normally I put a note to be checking the attendance after every 2 weeks, just to check if things are not working. Then after 6 weeks, we'll have a PACE meeting. And in that PACE meeting, it's led by us. We will interview the parents. We do it in a very private place, not in school, in a different setup, and then we will go back to court. So we've had some parents plead not guilty, so we do go to trial too for some. Yeah, but we do make them aware that should they go to court, we do get a criminal record for that, which is not pleasant.
So if we, it's agreed, because we don't give fixed penalty notices at the moment, but aren't the courts overwhelmed with cases at the moment? So how long would, if a case was going through, how long would it take? I mean, it could take years, couldn't it?
It doesn't take long, but currently, since we've had a change of legal advisors in the last 2 years, I think, and things have been very slow, because each legal advisor that comes will come with their own way of doing things, and they also have their values. They don't believe in fining or taking to prosecuting parents. So it depends with the legal advisor we have. So normally when we send it in, we'll give it 3 months, but we've recently been having delays because of that change. We've not had consistent legal advisor, whereas before, when I joined this board, we had one that worked with the local authority, so she was able to list the cases in quite early. As soon as she received them, she put them in. But because we're getting them actually, I think we're getting them from agencies. They are not under us, they are under the legal team within the OCC. So, but they go quite quickly once we've just changed. The one we had has gone. So this month we've got a new one. So each comes with their own way of doing things.
Okay.
But it doesn't take long. Once they list the case, they will give it within a month or 2 months, and it will go in, and we'll let you know.
Okay.
Sorry, so with the fines, once they've been fined, excuse me, is there, I don't know, something then that's written to say, and I will continue to ensure my child has good attendance? No.
They will have, the judge will say to them what they need to say to them because it's about attendance, and they'll make them aware that issue this, and that's why we continue to monitor, because if it doesn't work, then we go back to court.
Okay.
Yeah, we go back to court. Yeah, it's very straightforward. You don't, we're coming back, we go back. We do PACE, I do a lot of PACE meetings. And then it's a whole process because you have to have a meeting and then take it back to court. Some parents don't, some don't care.
Yeah.
Yes, some don't care. And you'll always have those that don't really care. They've been to court enough times, and actually school attendance is nothing to them. And that's why recently we're starting to explore, and DFE is really guiding on these education supervision orders, especially for parents that engage with meetings and not condoning absences, but actually it's the child. And this is more voluntary, whereby we go to the family court, we go to court, ask for permission to go to the family court. Here they don't get a criminal record because it's more intended to support the child and gives that parent the parental responsibility authority, which they already have, to ensure this child is engaging with school. So we'll start to use the education supervision orders more. We've not been using them. The parenting order, we hardly use them, and most boroughs most local authorities don't use them. Yeah, but DFE is starting to say use them, and I quite like them because they are more supportive, especially for parents that are engaging, and you can see it's the child. Yeah, they are really good. They're very, and then we are given orders. We supervise, but the parent is expected. Maybe is it parenting? The child is also there. The child is also, and I think it would be nice for secondary school children to be there because they're able to give their voice and they're able to be challenged and to be given expectations. I'm looking forward to start working on them for some parents.
What about parents that are split up? Say one parent's got main care, but the other parent is also looking after their child 2 days a week or something. Would both parents be taken to court?
Unless the parent is away from a distance, would consider as reasonable. Like if a parent is living in Yorkshire, their dad is or mum is in Yorkshire and it's mum living with the child or vice versa, then that parent would not be able to take this child to school. So we also look at the distance where that other parent is, because they can have fear, but they are very far from ensuring that child is going to school.
Is it also true that, so let's say you've got a multi-generational home and you've got grandparents or aunties and uncles living in the house who have regular care of the children, are they able to be issued a fine?
Yeah, we can. Yeah. And actually for the penalty notice fines, we are very fun because it's for the residents in the house. So you can go for the grandfather, the grandmother, the uncle. Yeah. Because they still have a duty of care of ensuring that child is in school. So, but normally we check first. We don't want people to stop having relatives in. We do that, yeah. Because right now I've got a case currently, and I can see the grandmother is encouraging, is condoning the absence. So I'm going to have to really have them do. And I've had a separate one where I can see the grandmother is crying, but mom is not. So we also have that, making that professional judgment. Is it fair? Should we be taking this one in court, or are they trying it only that the other one is sabotaging the process? So for this one, how many have not had the training for the penalty notice training?
Do you have to have it done regularly? I had it done years before COVID.
Yeah, you can do
Is
a
that
reminder.
still-
Yeah, as long as you can remember. We're offering it free of charge. Sorry, not free of charge at the moment. It's not moved to traded service. So maybe we're hoping maybe to offer one before summer. I'm just hoping the DFE would have given us those new. They've not listed them down. They're talking about them, but they've not given us the proper guidance. So once they've done that, we will. But because it's going to change. But it's also, the process is also quite good, especially for unauthorized absences and unauthorized lateness, U-codes. Because with that, we have a process where you issue 15 days warning letters. So instead of, this should be the early days of or when you're giving a parent contract, you could give them a 15-day warning letter asking them to improve. And if they don't, then at the end of the 15 days, you issue them, at the end of the 15 days, if the absence has not, if the attendance has not improved, you refer to us. So we'd expect within those 15 days, 1.5 absences, 3 sessions. That shows the absences, of an authorized absence again, then you can refer to us. It's quite a good process too, especially for those like, quick interventions for chronic absences. Chronics, it won't work. The other thing about our process is if we already have a non-attendance referral for the legal process, we wouldn't issue a penalty notice fine, because we cannot have 2 processes or 2 legal processes going on for a family. So we can only have one. So before making a referral, we do receive referrals sometimes. So we normally check. If we check and we have a process open, then we will let you know that we're not able to issue the fine. So I think we'll plan another one immediately after the Easter break, just to give you a feel of what it entails and to keep you ready. But for you to issue the penalty notice fines, your trust or your governors would have to be in agreement with the processes, and then you'd have to put it on your attendance policy and on your website, and give enough notice to parents before starting it. Yeah, allow time for them to boil and make noise and then start. Yeah, but we give all the people training.
Just a quick question, you know, if you've had the training, so we had a member of staff that had the training, they were attendance officer, they left for a couple of months, but they've been rehired as a TA at the moment, so could they still issue the fines, because they've had a break of service?
Yes, they have the capacity, because that's a member of, because it's as many people can access the training, because that person is still within your school and has been trained, they can still issue them.
That's fine, it was just because they had a break in service, so they
As
weren't
long
completely
as
away
they
from
can,
school.
they can issue on behalf of school because they are part of the school. Illness, it just goes back to the workload they've got, but they can. Illness, I think I've mentioned this briefly. So it's becoming a big thing, especially with mental health and SCN related ASD, ADHD. Parents have also been very good with self-diagnosis. We have very many parents that are not psychiatrists and educational psychologists. We've all turned into different professionals. I being one, I'm a parent, so it's, But again, with illness, if there's ongoing medical reasons why the child is not coming into school, you could consider hospital school. But I mentioned, their threshold is very tight. They only take referrals at consultancy level. They've said actually the next district meeting they're going to come in and just provide some guidance on how they do their accept their referrals and what kind of work they do. But it would be good. They're very cheap. They're very reasonable because I think it's 130 per week. Is it a day per week? They're cheaper than the Dare to Dreams alternative provisions. Yeah. So you So
Probably was the best, £10.
Yeah, they're much more reasonable. So and that's one thing. If a child is not coming to school due to illness, what is the illness? Some parents are holding on children at home because they're waiting for an HCP. What is an HCP going to change? Because actually school can still meet needs, or professionals can meet and identify how those needs are the education needs are going to be met via reasonable adjustments. Or some parents are waiting for a diagnosis. What will it change again? Yes, it will be good to have it, but school can still do something about what they are thinking because there's a school cycle. So it's being able to challenge that and then knowing what to say to the parents, because some parents will think, oh, my child has SEN related needs, that school is not meeting need. Have you gone through, are they on the SEN register? What's been going on? What can school offer?
But even
that's not an excuse.
Even if they're on the SEN register, so I'm thinking of a couple of families I've worked with, because I used to be the family liaison, and then I was in safeguarding, and now I'm in attendance. So I've been in this circle. I've worked with families who say, my child has autism, my child has ADHD. There's no evidence of that. We haven't had any documentation from any professional to say this is the diagnosis. But they're on the SEN register. So reasonable adjustments are being made, but this child has like 70% attendance.
Yeah, and that's why it's good to have that attendance meeting in September.
Yeah.
Involve us, because then see which other agencies we can, because sometimes it's just parents not accept, but parents are not also not all, some are struggling with parenting.
Of course.
Whereas I've started meetings and it's child said, he will not, she will not, she said. And I'm asking you, I'm asking those parents, and what are you doing as a parent? What are you saying to this child? Are you leading this child? We get a lot of that. So and that is why we have so much, and yesterday it came up, there's so many parenting groups that are supporting parents, and that's why they need to start accessing support. Oh, my child will not wake up in the morning, or what are they doing at night? They're playing games all night. And what are you doing about that? Yeah. So it's those, and then they'll say they come to school, they'll be anxious, obviously because they are going to leave their games or they didn't sleep at night. So it's being able even to challenge that, because some actually, it's very, and even with the APs, parents asking, I'm starting to ask, okay, is this child going outside? Are they being seen in malls? Are they going for football? If they're playing football, are they going out there? Yes. So how is it that that's selective, because they're managing to it, but it's school. Yeah. So it's just being very curious, because not all children actually should be accessing alternative provisions. It's that, because the people are holding on that banner. So it's about time where we're drawing them back into what school is offering, because schools, you have a lot that you're offering, and the budgets are tight also. So it's choosing which ones, and for you have the idea for access panels for funding, but again, you've been there several, you've referred several, and they do come back. So it's also about being able to challenge the parent. Actually, your child can actually be in school, because your child has been going for this, we've observed, your child is busy outside school, so they can't be in there for providing this.
In a situation like that, so I mean, I'm kind of amalgamating a couple of families. So the parents are saying, my child has this, my child has that. We've provided reasonable adjustments, but we don't have the funding to send them off to Horsewise or Dairdstream or 180, because we have to prioritize children who actually have EHCPs. So we try to provide things for them when they're at school, but the kid's still not coming. But the kid still isn't coming to school, and the parents, for whatever reason, are very resistant or have a bad relationship with us as a school, because they don't think that we've provided enough. I've only been doing this for about 6 weeks, but if children, our threshold is about 90%, because like you said, if we were looking at kids under 95%, I mean, we would be looking at hundreds of kids a day. So our threshold is 90%. Under 90%, what I've been told to do is to mark them, even if the parent writes in, to mark them as an O2, because the parent has called in, or the family has called in to say, so-and-so has a headache, so-and-so has diarrhea, so-and-so doesn't feel like coming into school, so-and-so has period pains. Okay, so yes, there is something going on, but they've already missed a month of school. I guess, maybe I'm going off piece, but like, what do I do with families who continue to write in and say, so-and-so is off because of this reason, but they're already under 90%.
It depends on the circumstances.
Sure.
If they're genuinely ill, like period pains, they have a history of maybe very.
Sure. So if we've got something documented,
you've got
that's fine.
And it could be actually. Then have you got something that you can offer at home, one-to-one, Google Learning, something which is from school?
No, we don't have that
because
anymore.
Again, periods. How long do they take? It's each child differently. It won't be like a lifelong thing. It will be. It's working with that parent. For those that are consistently, and that's where the GPs come, the doctors come in. If it's a GP signing this child off, it's looking at, okay, hospital, school may not take it, but again, talking to them, discussing it with them, and seeing what else. because it could be actually, and that's why we want a referral to us.
Okay.
Because once you've completed that meeting, we're able to work with other agencies and find out what else can be done, or now then pursue our route. Because those are stuck cases. What that means is that actually you shouldn't be holding on them. They should be coming to us. That's the working together approach. Because then we're able to get more. Because if you're holding on that, it will be stuck for long. Yeah, and that's why we encourage, when you're having those meetings with parents, just let them be parent contract meetings, because you document it and it's the document you're going to use, rather than having a meeting that will not necessarily help you, aid you with making a referral. If you're going to have any conversation, just have it as an attendance parent contract. Okay. Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah, nursery children are not involved in this, are they? Because they're not of statutory school age.
Well, for involved in what?
We have family where the child is a illness, it's a different illness, but we've had quite a long period now of illness, and it's like, what should our next step be? We're trying to build up a relationship with the family. The other two children are kind of random as well, when they appear and when they don't appear, but the nursery child has, we've asked them this week, even if the child, even though you've said that the child is ill, can you just bring her in when you bring in other children, so we can just set eyes on her?
We had a kid in reception like that, but they weren't statutory school age, and like your team said they wouldn't work with us, but we still went and did home visits once a week if we could, once every other week, to set eyes on them. But then as soon as they turned statutory school age, we put a parent contract in place and then referred. But that's what we did, just because we were like, well, we haven't seen this kid.
That's what we're considering.
Have you guys had any contact with LCSS or NASH?
Yes. Unsuccessfully with that.
Not like this family.
Yeah, but if you're concerned about the well-being, but and I think that's where when you complete the attendance meeting, it's for each child separately, and not because what you end up doing is holding on a family. Maybe you're having internal meetings but not documenting, but you're doing it alone, and that's why we need to come in, and that is the evidence that you've already offered support. But for the school of not statutory, who are not of statutory school age, you use your processes, also citing, but as soon as they're 5, they're coming back to you. Some don't do it actually before they do parent contracts, actually before they hit this. I think your school has done that.
So we do, this is really time consuming, but it's had a huge impact on our attendance. Those families, those like sort of complex ones that are trying to turn everything around onto the school, or where there's lots going on, we sit down with those parents or the adults involved, have a meeting that is an attendance contract meeting, but it's held in a compassionate way, so it's hearing their story, hearing what's going on. But sometimes it can go on for hours, but a meeting that is just listening to them. We do the same with the child or children individually, and then we bring the children into the meeting and have them sitting with the family and talking about. It's so time consuming, but it has changed our attendance dramatically. And even if you can do that with, I don't know, when first of all we sort of decided this was going to be our approach, I was like, this is way too much, I can't, how are we going to manage this? But just breaking it down to choosing, right, okay, I'm going to choose these 3 families and this is where I'm going to feed everything into, and just gradually that balance has tipped. And I just think the whole understanding, and both from children, home and school staff, of attendance, it has completely changed. And
do you then issue the parent contract, or do the parent contract meeting them? So you've got it and you've.
So we're doing it as we're talking. And creating those targets. It's really, honestly, it's incredibly time consuming, but it is so successful. And in that meeting you're talking about, this is what we're doing, and if this doesn't work, this is the next step. So you're giving them that whole process this could end up down the legal route. But we're going to work together and we're going to get this, and it is really time consuming, but it is, if you can break it down to make it feel more manageable, and like, right, I'm going to target 3 main families, and then I'm going to, it does have an impact.
Yeah, and then for, how many students have access to family links? Because that one also asked for early years. It's just about being what you've got as a school, like what you've mentioned. How can you work with those before they get? By the time they get to the statutory school age, you'll have known them, so you'll have had meetings so that they are aware. And the best thing is if you're doing it quite early, then they know it's going to get tougher when they're in year, when they hit 5 years and above. So it's just making sure you're having those conversations quite early. Oh, integration timetables. This is another one, yeah. So there is no statutory basis upon which to establish an integration timetable. But again, you do it when you're offering reasonable adjustments. There are children who will never manage to be in school 25 hours a week or as per what the school expects. But it's a nice one when you're considering making reasonable adjustments. We recommend it shouldn't go for more than 6 weeks. But again, there are children, like I've mentioned, that will need more. But it's just we call it integration because that's what it's supposed to be. But it's just having those considerations and making sure you send the critical format to us. I sent one to you yesterday, to the school yesterday. Yeah. That's fine.
There too, sorry.
Yeah, we've inherited my daughter's on a reintegration.
Thank you very much.
I'll send it.